Hey guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com. Another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news announced this week ending January 13th, 2020. This is episode number 228 of the recap, and the first of news this week comes from Perfect World and Cryptic Studios regarding Magic Legends. They revealed the first ever gameplay trailer for the upcoming Magic the Gathering themed MMO, which has been in development for some time now. Now, Magic Legends will be a free-to-play and is aiming for launch on PC and consoles. And to be honest though, based on the video in the background, the very limited UI makes you think this isn't a full-blown MMORPG, as there's only like 4 spells you can see on the screen in the UI at once. But then again, it is being made by Cryptic, which I think did a pretty good job with Neverwinter and Star Trek Online. So I'm still looking forward to trying this one out. I know a lot of people see Perfect World in kind of a back way because it's a Chinese studio, but I think Cryptic did a pretty decent job with Neverwinter and Star Trek Online. So there are some obvious questionable monetization stuff in those games. Unfortunately, we don't have any kind of release date just yet, but I just suspect it'll be launching later this year. But again, that's just my guess based on when the game was announced, and they're finally showing off some gameplay. So that's just my guess, and hopefully it will launch later this year, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up, a big update for Crowfall. The crowdfunding MMO is still a thing and working its way towards release slowly. Arcraft Entertainment, the company behind the game, announced that they raised additional $12 million in funds from investors to finish the game. A beta for the game is supposedly right around the corner, too, and this $12 million of funding is supposed to get the game from where they are today to release. From the game's Kickstarter till today, though, the game has been in pre-alpha apparently, so the beta should be a big step up. And while we've long memed about these Kickstarter MMOs never actually releasing, the fact that they did raise $12 million from outside investors shows that there's somebody out there who can write a $12 million check that is confident in Crowfall eventually coming out. So that's definitely a good sign. Unfortunately, no word on when this beta is going to begin, but hopefully it won't be too much longer. I believe the original Kickstarter for Crowfall was back in 2015, so it's been about 5 years since the original Kickstarter, and hopefully the game will be releasing somewhat soon. Up next, TemTem just held its alpha test this last week, and I had a chance to play it, and I'm quite impressed. TemTem is a Pokemon-inspired buy-to-play MMO launching on Steam Early Access later this month, and it's a game I'm actually looking forward to playing at launch. It really does feel like a full-blown Pokemon MMO, and while the game will cost money, if you're a fan of Pokemon, I'd say it's worth trying. Expect the first look for this game at launch, but if you want to try the game for free before then, they're doing a stress test on Friday, so you can get a glimpse of the game in that stress test. I think it only lasts a few hours, but you can at least see what the game is all about. This might be the only crowdfunded MMO that I'm personally excited for, and it's actually happening, so that's also a big plus right there. Next up, Albion Online's Queen update is set to launch on January 20th and is the game's biggest update since 2017. The Queen update was announced back in September, so it's been in the works for a while now. It brings some pretty big changes to the PvP-focused sandbox MMORPG. Most notably, it adds hideouts to the game, which are underground bases for guilds to operate out of in the Outlands area. In fact, the entire Outlands area has been reworked as well, with higher tier zones now located in the center of the map and the lower tier zones in the perimeter. The game also added elite randomized dungeons and a bunch of other goodies. And now Albion Online's player base remains quite healthy, with it averaging over 2,700 players on Steam alone. Just keep in mind, the game has one mega server as well, kind of like EVE Online, so it feels really full. The game feels a bit like old school RuneScape or Ultima Online in that it has a skill system for progression and has a pretty strong emphasis on PvP. If you like PvP MMOs, definitely give this one a try. In fact, it's free to play, so might as well give it a try anyway. In fact, the game's player base has been improving on Steam over the last few months, so that's definitely a good sign. Up next, Black Desert Online for consoles just added the Valkyrie and Kanoki classes this week along with their Awakening skills. The game is on sale for 50% off until January 17th for the console version as well, which despite the sale still costs more than the PC version at the sale price of currently $14.99. Kind of odd that the console version costs more than the PC version, which is much further ahead in content. Heck, the PC version is basically free nowadays if you're willing to be patient, as they've given the game away so many times in the past. Before, if you played the Battle Royale mode, they gave it to you for free. If you pre-registered for the mobile version, they gave it to you for free there as well. So Pluribus is basically giving the PC version away for a while now, so it's kind of weird to see the console version costing $15 while it's on sale. Though it is worth mentioning that not everybody has a good PC, and playing on console might be much easier. Plus, these action MMORPGs do translate over pretty well into consoles. Next up, Monster Hunter World's Iceborne expansion launched this last week on PC finally and gave the game a big boost in terms of players. The game used to peak at about 70,000 players online on Steam just last month, but with the Iceborne expansion, the peak players now spiked at 284,000, with the average players going from 30,000 to 170,000 players online at once, which is a huge increase. Now, Iceborne is a paid expansion of the game that costs $40. The console version has been out for months already, and the PC version just launched recently. It introduces new hunting mechanics for all 14 new weapons with new moves and combos, a new quest difficulty, the master rank, a huge new region, new monsters, and a ton more. And while it adds a ton of new content and the player base numbers are up, some players are complaining about the optimization issues for the PC, which can be especially frustrating because the PC version launched months after the console version, but hopefully they'll iron those out in the coming weeks. Next up, Amazon Game Studios continues to tweet about their upcoming new sandbox MMORPG New World by tweeting about new screenshots, dev diaries, and more. Now, the closed beta is still set to begin in April for the game, and the game's developers promise to publish a dev diary talk about the game's PvP later this month, which is kind of a big deal because a lot of players in alpha were surprised when the game announced that the PvP will be opt-in. But I expect a lot more clarity on the upcoming dev diary later this month. While I'm not super optimistic about New World, I'm still rooting for it because I think the concept of an open world sandbox survival MMORPG-like game with persistent elements could be really awesome. But they've so far never succeeded if you look at games like Worm Online, Life is Feudal Your Own, and games like that. But unlike those games, the PvP for New World should be opt-in, so we'll see how that has an impact on the game's audience. And our closed beta again is in April, with the full launch coming sometime on Steam in May. The next last bit of news this week is the Minecraft-inspired sandbox survival MMO Citywars Savage launched a playable demo on Steam this last week. The game is definitely indie as it is developed by two best friends who worked on a similar Minecraft mod 5 years ago. The game describes itself as a fast-paced sandbox indie MMORPG, with the whole server being a gigantic centralized modding platform with things like worlds, game modes, weapons, quests, NPCs, etc. all being editable. Keep in mind though, the game is just a demo right now, but the idea of players programming their own NPCs and designing their own stuff in-game, modding everything themselves, sounds pretty cool, but I'm curious how it actually works in practice. We know Dual Universe is trying the same idea as well on a different scale and a different kind of game, but the idea sounds really cool, so I'm kind of curious to see what this ends up playing like. But anyway guys, that is it for MMO News this week. I will see you guys next week. Later guys.